guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariah and I talk about books. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I absolutely adore you guys. Today I thought we would do something a little bit different. So I was going to do a, top 10 popular fantasy series that I haven't read, but then I realized that I haven't read most of the popular fantasy series on BookTube, and that would be a forever long video. So instead, on my blog, I'm doing a series called, I started a series called Cleaning Up My Goodreads TBR. And I take 10 books from my TBR and decide if I'm going to keep them or if I'm going to trash them. Now, the reason I'm doing the Goodreads cleanup is because I'm switching from Goodreads to the Storygraph. The Storygraph is still in beta. It's a brand new book tracking website that tracks the mood of the books and does their reviews in totally different ways than anything else I've ever seen. It's also run by a Black woman, and I really wanted to support her and what she's doing, and it doesn't hurt that I absolutely freaking love their interface. So they're constantly updating. I was able to import my Goodreads libraries, which, I'm sorry, Storygraph, I love you. It's just a lot cleaner interface, and it looks way more modern, and it's way funner to use. So I have lists of books that I need to check out or books that I want to read scattered everywhere. So I thought I would do a companion series to that. Now we're going to go through books that I have written down in the notes portion of my phone. And this is going to be the first in the series as I go through and we look up the synopsis and see if I'm still interested or if I just put it down there because a booktuber recommended it to me. So the first book is Illusion of Thieves by Kate Glass. So this is a 3.9 out of 5-star rating. So this is about a woman named Romy, who becomes a courtesan to the Shadow Lord, who is a noble who brings laws and comforts once reserved the wealthy to all. So in this land, it's illegal to have magic, and her brother, Romy's brother, is caught stealing with the help of magic. So she uses her influence on this noble, the Shadow Lord, to spare his life, and instead is instead banished. So she's forced back into this hardscrabble upbringing that she had already escaped, and must rely on her wits and her hidden sorcery to sort of help her and her brother survive. And it ends up being a heist story with a ragtag crew. It's a magical heist story with a ragtag crew, which I'm assuming is like a found family type dynamic, which if it is, yes. And she's stopping a civil war. I'm kind of down for that. So we're going to keep that one. That one gets kept. Alright, next on the list, A Memory Called Empire. I know that this is a sci-fi. It has a 4.2 on Goodreads and a 3.9 on Barnes & Noble. So this is a space opera debut novel about an ambassador who arrives to the center of the empire, the Texcalanli Empire, to find out her predecessor has been killed. She is from a fiercely independent mining station, and she's sort of caught up in this idea that his death wasn't an accident, it was a murder. So it's kind of like a murder mystery meets space opera, trying to stop expansionism, which I am all about, and it has to do with navigating alien culture that she's very attracted to, and intrigue, and so it's kind of like a murder mystery tucked in a space opera with like a little sprinkling of political intrigue in there. along with like anti-colonialism, which we stan on this channel. So, that one is getting kept. It's nice to know that I have a good taste in books sometimes. Okay, so the next book on this list is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This actually sounds really cool. So this is an epic fantasy novel about a boy named Kieran who grew up in the slums of this city, and he's a thief and he's the son of a bard, or a son of a minstrel, raised in all these tales, and then he's claimed as the missing son of a prince. So he's brought into the palace and he finds out that being a prince is not what he thought it was. And he's practically a prisoner. He doesn't have any choice. He's being dragged through all this political intrigue. And he's finding out that, and I'll quote this, "Practically a prisoner, Kieran discovers that being a long-lost prince is nothing like what the storybooks promise. The storybooks have lied about a lot of other things too. Dragons, demons, gods, prophecies, and how the hero always wins. Then again, maybe he isn't the hero after all. For Kieran is not destined to save the world, he's destined to destroy it." I could be down for that. I could be down for that. So that sounds really interesting, and I really think that I'm going to keep this one on there too. This isn't really going to be a clean out, is it? I have a problem, guys. I have a book problem. The next book is The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders. It takes place on the planet January, where half of it is always permanently dark and frozen, and half of it is always like in the blazing hot sunshine on the other side. So like civilization is barely eking out in this stretch of like dusk lands. And there are two cities. Now, Sophie, who I'm assuming is the main character, gets exiled into the night, and she's supposed to die because it's a frozen wasteland. But she finds out she has this unique ability to commune, or to like bond with the beasts that wander the ice. And she kind of has to figure out, and she kind of decides, you know what, F this, I am out, you guys suck, and I'm going to go and hide from the world. And she ends up finding a found family, or finding a family, like a found family type thing, a bunch of ragtag misfits, and having to save the planet that she's living on. So that sounds really cool. The Blood series by Tanya Huff, starting with Blood Price. There was a Canadian TV show called Blood Ties that introduced me to the series because it's an adaptation of the book series. And I thought, I love the TV series, so I'll obviously love the book series. I've tried multiple times to get into this series, and I just have to admit, maybe this is not the urban fantasy series for me. It follows Vicky, who's a private eye, and Henry Fitzroy, who is a vampire. And they work together to solve mysteries involving like non-humans, so like werewolves, ghosts, immortal voodoo practitioners. I love the private eye trope, I really do, but this isn't for me. We're gonna say this one's going. It's just not gonna happen, and I'm sorry. The Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. I actually read Every Heart a Doorway this year, and I gave it, sorry, my rat's being very cute, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, or 4 out of 5 stars, something like that. I gave it a very high rating, and I fully intend to finish the series and to actually buy the series so it can go on my shelves because the covers are amazing. So that's a keep. Keep. Cheap. So the next book on the list is The Waterborne by Greg Keyes. And okay, so this tells the story of two characters, Hezi, Hezhi, who is a princess, and when her favorite cousin is kidnapped by priests of the river, which is a god. So he's kidnapped by priests and he's taken down below, whatever that means. So he's taken, and Hetsy's favorite cousin is kidnapped by priests of the river, who take him to the river's dominion in order, for some reason, it's not really explained. So taken to the river, she's kind of hopes to defeat the river and get her favorite cousin back and take her place as queen of her people. And on the other side, you have Perkar, who is a barbarian who has fallen in love with the goddess of stream. Now, the river is threatening Perkar's love, and so he ends up, going on a quest to defeat the river, which also brings him to help the princess to defeat the evil god. It sounds very epic fantasy Dungeons and Dragons-y, so this could go either way. I don't think I will buy this book, but I will definitely check it out from the library. So that's a maybe. That is a maybe. So next is the Great Alta Saga by Jane Yolen. This is a trilogy made up of Sister Light, Sister Dark, White Jenna, and the One-Armed Queen. So Sister Light, Sister Dark tells the story of Jenna, who at the beginning of the series is a child and is being raised by the acolyte of the goddess Alta, thus the Great Alta Saga, who is studying the ways of the warrior in preparation for this prophecy. Now, she's thought to be the goddess reborn, who has a dark sister known as Skada, who can only reveal herself in darkness. So Sister Light, Sister Dark. And I love these types of series where we start with following a main character as a child and we watch as they grow into their power, which is what the Great Alta Saga seems to be. I'm really hoping that I love this series as much as I loved the Alana Quartet or the Lioness Quartet, or maybe it's the Lioness Rampant Quartet, I don't know. But by Tamora Pierce. It was so good, and that really introduced me to growing with a character for the first time, because I'd started with Alana when she was a teenager, or when she was about 11, and then it shows how her relationships with those around her shifted and changed as she got older. It also introduced to me shipping this couple for the first time, and it was not who you might think it was. Unless you think it's Lana and George, in which case you were totally right. George deserves so much love. So, I'm going to say keep, but again, I'm going to check this one out from the library, I think. Or Scribd, see if they have it on Scribd. Because I really want to decrease the amount of books that I'm buying, because I already get 3 books a month from the subscription box, and I'm not reading enough books fast enough to get those off of my shelves. And visibly my TBR is huge. So that's a keep. The next book on our list is Spectacle by Jodi Lynn Jidrock, which tells the story of a 16-year-old in 1887 Paris who is a reporter for La Petite Journal. I probably said that horribly, and I apologize to all those that speak French out there. Oh, sorry. So her job is to summarize everything that happened the day before, and then one day she has a supernatural vision of a girl being murdered from the point of view of the murderer, and then a body is found in Sienne shortly after that. And she has to sort of figure out who the killer is and where her visions are coming from. It sounds like it could be really interesting. It also sounds like it could turn out really badly. So again, I'm going to say maybe, and from the library. The next book on the list is Never Contented Things by Sarah Porter. This tells the story of two foster siblings, Josh and Ksenia, who are fiercely protective of each other and have been living together since childhood. As Ksenia nears her 18th birthday, her foster parents expect her to move out, which will free her foster brother Josh of her unhealthy influence. However, it would seem that Josh is a little obsessed with his foster sister and is like convinced or is desperate to find a way that they can stay together forever. A being called the Prince shows up and is willing to grant them that and give them a home among him and his fake courtiers as long as they give up their humanity. And this sounds like it could be very interesting. Oh, and they have to succumb to the cruel whims of the prince and his fake courtiers. It sounds like a horror take on the fae trope, which I kind of want to try, but it also sounds like a little creepy and incesty. Like, not creepy in a good way, but like incesty, which I'm not 100% sure about. But I still kind of want to check it out. So that's going to be yes with a question mark. So that wraps up 10 of the books. I think we got rid of one and had a lot of maybes. But let me know if you've read any of these books. Please put down below if you think that I should check out any of these books, or if you've read any of these books and you recommend it or you don't recommend it, and why. I'm very interested to know. I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. It should be really interesting to see. Normally I don't base things off their synopsis, but obviously some of these are just what they are. So thank you so much for stopping by. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know down below if you want me to continue this series, if you've read any of the books, like I said, or if you hated these books. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content. You can find me here on Thursdays and Sundays, and you can find me on my blog on Mondays and Wednesdays, and of course I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter as well. So, thank you guys again for stopping by. All the best wine, coffee, and books to you. Cheers.